So good morning, everyone. How is everyone this Sunday morning? Um, Hope you're all doing good. Let's see who's in. Um, well, Nancy Guess, you are the early bird today. Good morning to you. Good afternoon. Hello, Judy. Hi, Dale. It must be what 2 a.m. in the morning there. Hey, Heather. Glad to see you here. And Miss Irish Lady from sunny Florida. Good afternoon to you. Hello, June Hansen. Glad you made it this morning. Yes, and Carrie Wood, I'll be listening as I work on finishing my son's insulated curtains and binding a lap quilt for a friend fighting cancer. After that, I will be working on recycling greeting cards. Crafting all day. Well, thank you for joining us, Carrie. Hey, my quilting wife. That's Tiffany. Nancy Guess, hello again. I think we said hello to her since she was the first one on. And Pamela Reynolds. Did I miss Becca? Oh, good morning, Becca. Hello. How are you this morning? Glad you made it. So, let's see. Okay, so Linda Faust, good morning to you too. And around to it, Shirley here. Good morning, Shirley. Okay, so as the description said in the video, I was way under the weather this week, so I didn't actually get a chance to film this week's video. So I decided to just, well, instead of just winging a video and slapping something together, I figured let's just have fun with it and go live today. So 2 weeks in a row, we went live on a Sunday. I hope this doesn't become a habit, or maybe it is. I don't know. So let me give a few more minutes for people to come in. Hello, Patty, DECP, Patty C. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Phyllis C., good morning to you. And for some reason, my mouse is not cooperating with me, but hopefully that's the only technical glitch that'll happen today, unlike last week, where we have camera issues. Hello, Miss Remo J. Okay. Then, well, while we wait for people, there's been a lot of questions that people have had. Today is, let's see, June 26th. So if you're catching the replay, what I've been noticing is that YouTube is actually delaying. If you're catching the replay, in terms of the live chat, YouTube is actually delaying the live chat a little bit. And I think what they're doing is they're actually reviewing some of the comments that people are making on there. There was a YouTube live that I was watching on someone else's channel, and the host did not have a moderator, so they weren't really paying attention to what was going on in the chat, and there was actually two individuals in there that were not being so adult-like, and so some words were exchanged, and it got kind of ugly. And so I think that's, from what I've been hearing with other creators, as well as with what YouTube has been putting out as messages to creators themselves, they are monitoring when people go live, before they put the live chat on the video, or if you're catching the replay, they are actually kind of reviewing the live chat. So if in case, for example, you are catching this the live replay and you're looking for the chat box, well, YouTube is actually reviewing that, and it takes them about a day or two or maybe a few hours, just depending upon how long the live session is. And they are reviewing some of those comments and deleting some of those. If it's inappropriate, they are deleting them out. And so I'm kind of glad that they're doing that, just for the sake of, just being adult-like. So I've been getting a lot of comments and questions. Hey, what happened to the live chat when people are trying to watch the replay? So just know that if you're watching the replay, the live chat may or may not be available. Eventually it does become available, but it might be still under review by YouTube. Tiffany or Becca, I don't know if you guys also have noticed that as well, but that's what's been kind of going on certain people's channels. But since you guys are here live, you get to chat with me live. So let's get started with today's project. Let me switch it to the overhead. Okay, so the block that we are making today is the basket block. Now, do I have it upside down? Yes, I do. Okay. I finally figured out how to actually rotate this image. So now the view that you're seeing is the view that it's facing me. So when I say left, this will be left. When I say right, it'll be on your right side. Okay, hello Judy Smith. I like seeing you live today, but today I will have to drop off early babysitting my grandson for the next few days. Oh, that's wonderful, Judy. Have fun with your grandson. Thank you for stopping by, though. Hi, Lisa. And Tiffany, yes, I noticed that YouTube wants drama and hate-free chats. Yep, that's what's been going on. Sounds okay. So we're making the basket block. Is it the basket? Yeah, I was about to say basket case, but basket block today. And the way I kind of made this is just with a whole bunch of half square triangles. Now, each of these half square triangles finish at 2 inches. So I'm going to use 2.5 inch squares. This larger square you can make from a 5 inch square, and then just do the 2 at a time half square triangle method. But this is a fairly straightforward block. It's not anything technically difficult to do. And so I figure let's keep this one quick and easy, right? Because we've had a couple of blocks that were challenging for a lot of people. And people are very thankful when I do these much simpler blocks. So the basket block, again, it's just going to be a whole ton of half square triangles, and we're going to have these 2.5 by 4.5 inch bar blocks, or bars, whatever, rectangles. Thank you, that's the word. So that's what we'll be doing. Now, you can do whatever technique of half square triangles that you want to, especially with all of these smaller ones. If you know how, or if you are familiar with the method, you could use the 8 at a time half square triangle method. You could do just the 2 at a time and just make it scrappy like how I did. So whatever, I'm going to do the actually the 1 at a time half square triangle method, where you just sew right diagonally from corner to corner, as you'll see today, because I wanted to actually make this block really scrappy and not with the same fabrics, although I do have 2 of the same colors I just noticed. Well, if I didn't point it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed. But again, if you want to do the 8 at a time half square triangle method and have all of these half square triangles the same fabric, that's your choice. I decided to make it scrappy. If you are deciding to use the 8.5 or 8.5, the 8 at a time half square triangle method, I think you're gonna need 2 squares that are 5 1/4, I believe, if my math is right. Let me calculate that in my head. So it's 2.5 times 2 plus, no, sorry, that's 2 5.5-inch squares. Again, that's your choice if you know the technique and you want to do it that way. Dale says that's so pretty. Oh, thank you, Dale. Says Nancy Guest, love your overhead view. Thank you. I finally got this one correct. So let's hope that, knock on the cutting board, that nothing goes wrong with it today. I don't jinx myself. I'm so glad we are now watching the project like you're seeing it. Backwards is confusing. Yes, Phyllis. I finally figured out how to rotate the picture, so looking at it backwards probably made it a little bit more confusing. Lisa, basket case might be right, yeah. Hello, Larry. Good morning to ya. And Heather Grint says, just go with the 6-inch and trim it down. That's easier. Yes, that is actually easier. Okay, so let's get started with this. So these are the fabrics that I'm going to be using. So to make the larger half square triangle, I got 2 5-inch squares. Now we're going to do the 2 at a time half square triangle method for the large one. Although we're only going to need 1 half square triangle, there's a little trick that I can show you as to how to salvage the second triangle and use that. We're going to need 8 total. Well, if you're going to follow the same method that I'm using, we're going to need 8 total 2.5-inch background squares and 2.5-inch print squares. Now, I have these 2 other half square triangles, well, from the test block. These are the extras, so I'm going to use it in this block, but you'll see how I make those half square triangles. And you're going to need 2 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles, and those will go on the sides. So let's get started with, first of all, making our big half square triangle. Okay, so I'm choosing this pink color because I got a lot of this fabric all of a sudden that I noticed. Actually, I was kind of cleaning out my stash or cleaning out my sewing space, and I've been finding pockets of fabrics that I totally forgot that I stored away. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to draw a line diagonally from corner to corner. And you've probably seen this method a million times. So we're going to draw a line diagonally from corner to corner. I hope you can kind of catch that in the camera. It's pink colored, yes. And we're going to sew a 1/4 inch away on both sides of that line. Put our 2 fabrics right side together. So we're going to make 2 half square triangles, although we only technically need 1 of them for the big triangle here, or the big half square triangle here. But again, I can show you what to do with the other half square triangle. Heather Grint says, I feel like a basket case yesterday. Kids and grocery shopping can be a challenge. Yes. I hope your kids are not like me, where their arms are long enough to reach for what they want on the shelf. Yeah, I used to do that to my mom, and then all of a sudden she'd get a $200 grocery bill. And then she wondered where all this stuff came from when she wasn't paying attention. That was me. I've done basket blocks in kits I got from England. Ooh. Too early in the morning for math. Have a cup of coffee, Larry. Okay, so you start sewing. And I can flip this around and we'll go back down the other way. And something got caught in there. That was quick. What is the size of rectangle and what is the size of your... Okay, so the rectangles here on the side, when I cut the fabric, they were 2.5 by 4.5. Okay, they'll finish to 2 by 4. Okay, so we're gonna cut this in half right on the line. So I sewed 1/4 inch away, and now we got 2 half square triangles. For now, I'm just gonna finger press the seam allowance toward the dark fabric. On that one. Oh, actually, let me square this up first. I'll use the bigger square triangle. Okay, so with one of the half square triangles, we're gonna square it up to 4.5 inches. And so now, if you've never seen me do this method of squaring up half square triangles, what I'm doing here is I am taking my 4.5 inch, actually let me switch it so you can see it up close. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up my 4.5 inch mark on my ruler and putting that right on the seam that I just sewed, making it match here, as well as looking down here in this corner, lining that up on the 4.5 inch mark on for the ruler, making that match to the seam. Then I will trim that. That will go. We'll trim that off. Then we'll turn it around. And now what I can do is line up the 4.5 inch line here and the 4.5 inch line here. Line that up with the edge of the fabric. And I can cut the dog ears off. And now we have a nice 4.5 inch half square triangle in which I'm just going to finger press the seam allowance back for a second. There. So half square triangle number 1 is done. Hello, Sue Smith. Happy Sunday to you. And Nancy guess, sorry I have to get ready for church, but listening. Well, thank you for joining, Nancy. Hello, Miss Regina. How are you this morning? Dale Ramsey, do you ever use pins to hold the fabric? Actually, I do use pins. Not very often, but most of the time when I'm using pins, I'm actually sewing the blocks together by then. So And in today's block, you'll actually see me use a couple of pins because, well, when you see me start sewing the half square triangles together, you'll see me do use a couple of pins, and I usually do that when I'm sewing units together, not necessarily making the individual units like the half square triangles or whatnot. I do it because I know the fact that this machine, the fabrics shift a lot, so the pins do help me kind of keep things in order. Or sometimes if I'm just doing a very, very simple block that I've done a million times, I won't use a pin, but feel free to use pins if you feel the need to. There's nothing wrong with pinning your fabrics together. That doesn't mean like you're a bad quilter if you do it, or if you don't know, or if you don't do it. I just know a lot of people don't like using pins because it just takes time. So Larry's asking, Eric, are you rested up from your trip home to see the family? It's been a few weeks since I got back. Again, this week I was actually really under the weather. I don't know, I caught a nasty cold. It wasn't COVID, but I did get really sick this past week. But it was an adventure, let me just say that, to visit the family after I haven't seen them in almost 3 years. So it was nice to actually go back home. It was just hot and humid as ever, which is part of the reason why I don't like going home sometimes, because I just don't like hot weather, and I don't like being all sticky and sweaty. And sometimes you can just sit in a chair and it's just the humidity. You just start sweating, and yeah, you just feel kind of gross. But it was nice to see everyone, though. Why do spouses have to be so annoying? You poor thing, Heather. Okay, Remo is saying she has to redo. Oh, I think she means block 45, 46, and 47. Okay. Well, this is the week to do it. Like I told the Dum Dums last night, pinning has its place. Okay, Sue's got to run. We'll catch the rest on the replay, helping my son get his house ready to sell. Wow, that's exciting, Sue. Hope it closes and sells. You need to Midwest or East Coast. Okay. So what am I going to do? Well, here is the half square triangle that I'm actually going to use in the block. Now, with this extra one, I'm actually going to just use or cut out a 2.5 inch half square triangle just to use up this extra block. Now, was hoping that I would get 2 of them, but looks like I can only get 1. And so what I'm doing is I just lined up the diagonal line right on the seam, or a diagonal line of the ruler right on that seam. And I'm just going to trim off a 2.5 inch square, because that is the size half square triangle that we are going to be making with the rest of the 2.5 inch squares that we got. So, and just like that, we have a 2.5 inch square. Now this piece can either be put in my crumb box, or I can even go further. And I'm doing a collection of 1.5 inch squares. So I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch half square triangle off of that. Turn that around, lining up the diagonal there. And we will trim this down. I think I need a fresh blade, or I need to sharpen this blade. And we have a 1.5 inch half square triangle. So we got our 4.5 inch half square triangle, our 2.5 inch half square triangle. Both of these I'm gonna be using in the block today. And I'm making a collection of these 1.5 inch half square triangles. So this I'm gonna put to the side. And then this is my leftovers, in which I could, can I cut another scrap out of there? No. So I can cut, well, I'll just throw this in the crumb bin. Okay. Okay. Now let's deal with all of these half square triangles, or let's make all of these. So what I'm going to do with the background, or I'm going to draw a diagonal line on the background fabric again. Let me see if I can get the darker. Yep, there it is. Is this the back? Nope, that's the back. So I'm just drawing a diagonal line on each of these background squares. And this time I need 7, since I already got one half square triangle there. Again, you need a total of 8. Hello, Miss Kim. Glad you made it this morning. Hi, Brenda. Brenda from Kentucky. Hi, Terry. One, two, three. Whoops. That one got away from me. 4. Now, for those of you who would like to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those of you who would like to join us, at least once a month, sometimes twice, I host a Zoom sew-in chat in conjunction with Quilts, and it usually happens on a Sunday evening, in which tonight we are going to be doing our next Zoom chat. If you are a member of the Quilts Facebook group, we usually post the information there. Or if you're a measure of the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group, I also posted the information there. I would like to invite those of you that would like to join us on Zoom to come and join us. We usually it's just an informal kind of sew and chat with each other. We've been doing this for over a year now. And it initially started during the pandemic, when everybody was stuck at home and we wanted to have a way of connecting to each other. So usually, like I know Remo J's usually on, and she's usually very excited about it. And sometimes Tiffany will come on to join us, usually after her live chats when she's done with her live session. And you know, it's just an informal, we just sew and we chat. And we just work on various projects. Sometimes we do games just to keep each other entertained. So I'd like to invite all of you, if you are interested. The information, again, is posted on the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group. Or if you're part of the Quilts Facebook group, it's also posted there. and just come and join us. We have a lot of fun actually just talking to each other and kind of socialize. So what did I do? I drew my diagonal line, and now we're going to be doing the one at a time method where we're going to be sewing on that line. So when we made the bigger half square triangle, we drew the diagonal line, but we sewed a 1/4 inch away on both sides of that diagonal line. This time we're going to sew directly right on that marked line. So, and I'm going to chain stitch all of these together. Chain, 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 chain stitching. I need to make a karaoke album with all these quilting songs. Yeah, that will never make it on the Billboard's top 100. It's a cooler morning here, thankfully. Sewing group or partying at Pride, which do I choose? You can do both, Larry. Actually, Pride is just once a year, Larry. So if you missed this one, we usually have it multiple times throughout the year. So I'll excuse you this month. Oh, thank you, Becca. Becca just put the link to the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group. Sounds so fun, but I can never stay awake through Tiffany's live. Maybe I'll take a nap. You do that, Brenda. One, two, three, four, five, six. I thought I had more. 7. Hi, Sophia. Glad you made it this morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Cindy Peace, good morning. Okay, that should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I needed one more. We'll go with this pink. Let me cut all of these off and separate them. Okay, so we're going to be making half square triangles out of all of these. So I just sewed right on the line that I drew, or that diagonal line that I drew. And so what now I am going to do, well, you don't have to do this, but you can if you want to. I'm going to sew another line 1/2 inch away, because again, I am doing a collection of these 1.5 inch half square triangles. Yes, I am crazy, and I did say 1.5 inch half square triangles. Yep, call me crazy. So you don't have to do this, but I'm gonna sew another 1/2 inch or a 1/2 inch away from this seam that I just made, and I'm gonna be sewing or creating 1.5 inch half square triangles. Again, this is not really part of this week's block, but I don't want to actually waste all of this fabric, so I'm going to be doing that real quick. Half inch away. Gang, if your guild ever has a quilt show, run away as fast as you can. I got made chair for the quilt display layout. OMG, so much work. Oh, sorry to hear that, Larry. Yeah, I do know. I actually helped put together a quilt show once, and it is a ton of work. Not very fun, too. Well, you gotta make it fun. I mean, that's just the thing. You have to have the right person actually to help. Or we had the right person in charge of the show, so she really made it enjoyable. But yeah, it is a ton of work. A lot of organizing, trying to figure out where quilts are gonna go. And my thread just broke. So, although it was a lot of work, it was a lot of fun for us. Or at least we made it fun. Yeah, that was a fun bunch. And I'm out of bobbin thread, so that's why it didn't. Okay. I lost that bobbin chicken. Which is why it's a good idea that I always have another one wound, especially when I'm live, so you don't have to wait for me to wind up another bobbin. Learned that the first time I went live. Okay, let's... where did my little piece of fabric, scrap fabric go? There we go. Reset. There we go, calling up the bobbin thread. And I will sew off on this piece of scrap. And we'll retry it. Wow, that battery lasted very short. Hang on one second while I plug in my battery. Okay, sorry about that. And got two more. Two more to do. Whoops, camera went out. There, we're back on. It would help to actually put the plug into the outlet, huh? Okay. There we go. Yep, got them all separated now. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Perfect. That's what we needed. Okay. My guild is having a children's quilt show in August. It is a lot of work. But that's interesting, Brenda. I've never heard of a children's quilt show. I loved helping my guild because I could touch and pet them. Yeah, that's one of the perks when you volunteer for a quilt show. 1.5 inches crazy. Yep. Call me crazy, but I'm doing it. Okay, so again, what I did was we're going to be making a 2.5-inch half square triangle unit just like this. So I drew a diagonal line from corner to corner. I sewed on that diagonal line. And again, this is something you don't have to do, but I am doing a collection of 1.5-inch half square triangle units like this. So I sewed another seam a 1/2 inch away, and that'll give me a 1.5-inch half square triangle. Again, that is not something that is part of this block, but I just didn't want to waste all that fabric. So you don't have to do this 1.5-inch half square triangle. But again, I'm just making a collection of them. Call me crazy. And so I'm just going to finger press the seam allowance to one side towards that, towards the print fabric. Feel free to press the seam allowance open if that's what you prefer. And let's see. And so now I am just cutting right in between those two seams that I sewed. And if you don't want to bother making the 1.5-inch half square triangle, just cut a 1/4 inch away from the seam or that diagonal seam. That goes right down the middle. And I'm just finger pressing these over. I'm gonna take these to the iron later and actually press them down really good. We had a feature on KET Public Television about our children's quilt show. Wow, that's nice of them. How many quilts are in there, Brenda? Or how many how many quilts are made it into the show? And I just want to cut that extra piece that's hanging there. There we go. Oh, forgot to press this one. We will have a youth category 18 and under in our show. A lot of quilt shows are actually doing that, where they have a sort of like a kids category. when I went, pressing the wrong one. When I went to the Kansas City regional quilt show last year, they had quite a few quilts that were made by children that were age 10 and under, actually. And they had a few quilts that were made by a number of teenagers, too. So the teenagers actually got their own quilt category, as well as the 10 and under. And some of those quilts were not basic quilts. I mean, some of them were pretty advanced techniques, so I was quite impressed with what they did. Okay, I just want to trim off that little piece of fabric that's hanging off there. There we go. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these 2.5-inch half square triangles. So I'm going to hit these with the iron and I will be right back. Okay, and you should still hear me, but you might not see, or you won't see me. Or actually you do see me if I do this. And my iron just fell asleep, so let's chat. Okay. Let's see what else has been going on with me. I've actually been binge watching since I was under the weather. I was not at work most of this week, so I've been actually binge watching a whole bunch of Netflix shows. What was I watching? I was watching this teenage romance drama called Never Have I Ever. And I started rewatching Bridgerton, season 1 and season 2, because I got bored with watching all these other shows. What shows do you guys watch, or what? Has anybody been watching any good shows lately? Yeah, I was trying to watch this other show on Netflix called The Ozarks, in which I just couldn't get into it. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for that type of TV show. But I hear a lot of people talking about it. So I figure, okay, let's check this out, see what all the buzz is about. But I think I fell asleep during the first episode. Good morning, Teresa. How are you this morning? Let's see, can I make... There, got it. I've been watching One Piece. Never heard of that. So, and then I see, okay, I watch BritBox. Watching the entire, okay, I gotta watch how I pronounce that show, Becca. I'll call it Schitt's Creek. A few years ago, I went with a friend to Topeka to the Kansas City Quilt Guild show. His quilt was a blue ribbon winner, and the second place winner was from a 12-year-old boy. Absolutely stunning. Yes, Kansas City has got some very talented quilters, I will say. Well, hello, Gisela. How are you? Hope you are. Wait, you're in Sweden, so it must be evening or afternoon there. But thank you for joining. I've been watching The Iron Chef. Yes, I've been watching that too. That's an interesting show. Very. Yeah, I usually don't watch cooking shows like that, but for some reason I started watching that and was very entertained by it. Of course, I do think that what's his name? The guy, not the MCs, but or not the two hosts, but that guy, the ring master or whatever he's called. He's a little over dramatic. But I just watch it just to watch him, see what crazy things he's gonna do. Okay, binge watch the season 4 of Stranger Things. I gotta have to give that show another try. For some reason, I never understood that show or what was so appealing about that show. But I know a lot of people like watching Stranger Things, so I gotta. I'm gonna give it one more try. Maybe I just don't like 80s cult classics. So it's Heather Grint's Japanese anime. Hey, way to go, Heather. I love watching Mrs. Brown's Boys. It's a show from England. It's a comedy. Oh, okay. I'll have to look that one up. Oh boy, I'm blue. Yes, Teresa. I finally figured out how to add moderators from here. Korean soap operas in Spanish. Okay. Yeah, a lot of my coworkers love to watch those type of Korean soap operas or Korean dramas, and it's almost like they're a club, an exclusive club of their own, because they keep talking it about certain ones or certain series during work, and I have no idea what in the world they're talking about. And then once in a while, someone says BTS. That I know what it is. Not that I really like that group. Okay, is the iron back on? Yep. So I can iron my half square triangles, and I'm just doing it kind of rogue. Hey, Vivian. Oh, see, I knew I had 2 extra. And just found it. Oh well. I have 2 extras. Okay, so let me switch camera angles again. Terry, Once Upon a Time is an awesome series. Yes, I do. I loved watching that series actually. But after like the third or fourth series, well, third or fourth season, I kind of fell off the bandwagon off on that. But I did enjoy watching that. Is anyone a Shameless fan? Yeah, a few of my friends actually were extras on the series called Shameless. Okay, so we're laying out the block here. Let me throw this to the side for a second because this is a separate project. So I'm just going to lay 3 half square triangles there. And it would help for me to switch the cameras. So we got gonna start laying out the blocks. So I'm gonna put all of these half square triangles. Just make sure that you could either do the print squares down or print squares up. Just make sure that you have them going all in the same direction. I tried it with the print squares or with the print side down like this. It just kind of looked a little weird for me. But I do see people doing it like this. I'm just choosing not to do it like that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Goes like that, and then this will go here. Hey, Miss T. Glad you made it this morning or this afternoon. Shameless was my Showtime Sunday to watch. Oh, okay, so we do have a Shameless fan here. Glad to know I'm not the only one. Okay. Okay, so this is basically the block layout. Again, you can either do it where the blocks are facing down or the prints are facing down. I'm choosing to actually make it so that the prints will face upward, because to me that just looks better. It just looked weird when we had it facing downward. And in terms of placement, I don't want the pink. There's a lot of pink for whatever reason. Where's that red one? I'll swap out the red there. Let's see. Yep. Do I like this arrangement? I think I like it like this, so I'm going to go with it. So here's how we're going to put this block together. We're going to, first of all, I kind of found it easier to actually sew this group of half square triangles, all 6 of these together. I'll sew these 2 together. Then we will sew these 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles and attach them onto there. We'll sew this large 4.5 inch square, attach it onto there. Then we'll sew the 2 halves together. So let me first of all start with the half square triangles. So we'll sew these 2 together. These 2, line them up. So that. Okay, so I'm going to finger press this for now, and I'm going to press the seam allowance to the right. I'll take the 3rd unit, sew that onto here. Okay, so this is the second row. I'm gonna finger press the seam allowance to the left now, since I did the top row to the right. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. And then we'll sew this together. Again, since this is the top row, finger pressing it to the right. Now, I'm used to doing this. I know some people like to actually sew the entire row, or they have their own method of keeping themselves organized. I tend to skip between rows, and I'm used to doing that. But if you want to do the technique where you sew the column, or however you want to organize yourself, just feel free to do so. The main thing is you just sew the right unit to the right unit. Don't sew the right unit to the wrong unit. Otherwise, you might as well have Jack handy. And I won't need this, so I can put this away. Won't need that as well. And this is the third row, so I'm pressing to the left. No, this is the second row, so I'm pressing the seam allowance to the left. Okay, then we'll sew this row to this row. I'm gonna nest the seams. And Dale, I hope you're still here, because look at what I'm doing. I'm using some pins. And I'm hoping and praying that these points are going to line up perfectly, because I'm just not going to bother trying to make it perfect. It's perfectly imperfect, which is perfectly fine. Okay. And since there's a little bit of extra bulk on the top one, I'm actually going to flip it over so that the feed dogs will help ease in some of that bulk. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It's puffing up right there in the center. So I'm going to see if the feed dogs will take care of that. Put that side on the bottom. Just got to remember that that's actually the top rows on the bottom there. Pull that out. Pull the pin out. Let's keep going. Pull this pin out. Okay, and this one is the bottom here, which I'm just going to finger press that to, let's see, it went right, left, so this goes to the right. And we'll sew this together. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how we did. Not bad. Not bad. The quilting gods are with me today. Although my block is, this edge is way crooked, but I'm happy with it. Now, yep. Okay, then let me take the other unit off. Sew off on a piece of scrap. Okay. I think I cut off my point there, but I'm happy with that. That's not too bad. I'm just going to press that over. Okay. Yes, Terry, this is, I can't believe I'm actually sewing this small too. Okay. Now, when the blocks are this small, and when I start sewing the rows together, I usually like to press the seam allowances open. I do find that at this point it does, well, at least for me personally, I just like to have it, I do find that pressing this, the seam allowances open when you start sewing these rows together, it helps to deal with the bulk. Okay, so usually when I press it open, I will finger press it, or this isn't Woody. This is Wanda. Then I'll take this, and now we will hit this with the iron. Okay, so now we got it nice and flat. We'll sew the two side units together. So we'll take this 4.5, 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle. We'll sew it there. Let's get that sewn. And we'll take the big 4.5 inch half square triangle, sew it onto the bottom half of the block. First of all, let's line it up better. Whoa, that is really off. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just going to finger press one unit to, or the top half, I'm just going to finger press it to the right. The bottom half, I'm just going to finger press that seam allowance to the left so that I can nest those two seams up. Oh, actually, those two seams won't nest anyway, so I don't know what I was talking about. Yeah. So that really didn't matter. Now we sew the two halves together. Okay, let's see how we did. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Now on this final seam, again, I am going to press this one open, just to lighten up the bulk, because again, you got 4 layers, in some cases almost 8 layers coming together in one spot. So I do find that when it gets to be that way, pressing the seam open does help a lot. but it's not a requirement. So press your seams as you desire. This is just a personal preference. And I see the chat is exploding. What's going on? Okay, YouTube has videos of the Great British Sewing Bee, so we'll have to check it out. I did see a couple of videos on that. Very entertaining, I will say. Thank you, Teresa. She's reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. Good morning, Kathleen Champ. How are you? And okay, so this is the final block. Let me just give it a good press for a second. And a basket block. There it is. Or there you have it. Oh, let me straighten out my camera. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm just going to trim up the sides a little bit because, well, I'm not the world's greatest patchwork piecer. So a lot of times my edges will come out way off. That, and then I saw this one earlier. So I'm just trimming off ever so little and just straightening out the edge. Whoops. Okay. Not much to trim off. Trim a little bit off the top just to straighten up that top edge. And remind me to change this blade or sharpen up this blade. And there you have it. That is the final block. Now this block, if my calculations are correct, should measure 8.5. Nope, this one is 8.25. Okay, so it should be, technically it should be 8.5. I think I may have shaved off a little too much. So mine ended up being 8.25. Let me see, I didn't shave much off there. Nope, it's 8.5. 8.25. Okay. So I calculated this block to be about 8.5. Let me see my test block. Because let me see if this one actually ended up being, yep. So it's supposed to be 8.5 inches. But because I shaved off just to correct or to kind of straighten out my seams on the edges, I shaved off a little too much. So mine ended up being, or this one's being 8.25, but it's supposed to be 8.5. Oh, Tiffany says hers turned out 8.25 too. Maybe it is supposed to be 8.25. Maybe I did my math wrong. It's too early in the morning, and I'm just drinking some green tea here. Okay, so yep. So if you come out with an 8.25 inch block, you're kind of spot on. I thought it was supposed to be 8.5, but according to Tiffany, her block also came out 8.25. So maybe it is supposed to be 8.25. I'll have to double check the math on this, but there you have it. This is a fairly simple block to do. You could even do this as a 16 patch block where maybe instead of using a 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle, you could actually just do it as 2.5 inch squares. And you could probably break this down into 2.5 inch squares. So there's different methods to making this same block. You don't have to necessarily follow the method that I used, but again, here's your basic basket block. Da 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 da! We're done. So let me just get caught up in the chat. That's a gorgeous block. Another use for all those 2.5 inch squares I cut a while back. Yes, I think a lot of us have a stash of those, Kim, so you're not the only one. Don't use too many emojis, Teresa. Yeah, he made it, no, backwards, upside down block. Okay, not sure who Larry's talking about. Very pretty. Everybody is saying very pretty. Thank you guys. Can't wait to see what you guys post up on the Facebook group and see what your blocks look like. What are you going to do to beat the gear today? Going to be upwards in 103 here in Northern California. Yeah. Here's what I do when the temperatures get up that high, and here's what I actually do. I grab my lawn chair and I head to Costco, and I actually sit in the walk-in freezer and just read a book. Yeah, don't laugh because there's actually other people that do the same thing. And do we get in trouble by the workers? No. They just kind of politely say, hey, you can't do that, but then they allow us to do it anyway because they understand how hot it can get. But we got nothing on Lake Havasu because it goes up to what, 110 there, Tiffany? Okay, so thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Gisela. Oh, Vicky, by the way, I didn't get a chance to mail your prize from last week, so I will make sure that that does, in fact, go out tomorrow. Okay, sorry, I've been way under the weather this past week, which is why I'm doing this block live today. But I haven't forgotten about you, so the package is ready to go. It's just that because I am sending it priority mail right now in Los Angeles, priority mail has to be personally delivered to the USPS. They don't pick it up from your regular post office or your regular mailbox, so I do have to take it there. And again, I do apologize. I was under the weather this week and I haven't had a chance to go to the post office. So, but it's on its way. It'll be on its way tomorrow. And everybody's saying that they like the block. Thank you, guys. We'll pull out those pros and sprinkler. Yes, Heather. That's a perfect time to do just that. Act like a kid and run through the sprinklers. Actually, that's what I was doing last night. We do have an automatic sprinkler system here in our building out in the front street. And so I saw these kids kind of playing around in the sprinklers. And yeah, I was a little kid. Well, I was never really a little kid, but I just acted like a kid and had fun and made friends out of it too. High of 74 today. Oh, that's a nice 74, Teresa. My pool is tiny kid pool, but great to keep cool. You are so lucky, Tiffany. Well, if we're just glad you're feeling better. Well, thank you, Heather. So now, let me make it clear. It was not COVID, but it was just a bad cold because of the weather change. It's 66 in where Vicky is. Wow. I would love to have 66 right now. I think it's about 80. Nope. Oh, it's 68 here. Ooh. It really doesn't feel like 68 though. So thank you, Teresa. Yes, I am feeling much better, which is why I could do this live today. And again, as if you joined in late, I do a once a month Zoom chat in conjunction with T Quilts. I don't know if T is still on here, but if you are interested in joining us on this Zoom sew-in chat, as we call it, the information has been posted on the T Quilts Facebook group as well as the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group. And what we do on there is we just basically sew and we chat to each other. So we've been doing it for a little over a year now, and we've had people from all over the United States. We've actually had one person join us a few times all the way from Australia, which was really interesting and really cool. So yeah, we want to just invite everybody. It'll be tonight starting at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So after you join, I believe Teresa goes on live later on this afternoon. Then Tiffany goes on live after you are done with or after Tiffany finishes. Hop on the Zoom if you're interested. So thank you, Dale. Yes, I will be taking care of myself. Yeah. Round to it is asking, what do I use to sharpen the blade? I did purchase a Grace Company blade sharpener, in which I don't have it here, but there are tools that you can purchase for sharpening up your blade. Now, one of the things that I was just kind of testing out that Grace, the True Cut blade sharpener. And what I've also found out is that if you go to certain hardware stores, they do carry the 45 millimeter blade that can be used in these rotary cutters. They do not carry the 60 millimeter or any other, I don't think they carry any other size. So if you only use a 45 millimeter blade, Harbor Freight has them. I think some Ace hardware stores have them, and they're dirt cheap too. They're like $4 for a pack of 4, so like $1 rotary cutter blade. But so I've been using a 45 millimeter a lot more. Normally, if I'm cutting yardage, I use a 60 millimeter. But when you go to craft stores like Joann's or even quilting stores, one blade can cost you up to $16. So it's a huge price difference. I am testing out the Grace True Cut sharpening system, in which I am planning on actually producing a video just to give my thoughts or opinions on it. Thus far, it's a good machine. I do think it's a good machine. Is it worth it? That's where I'm trying to make the judgment call. But be looking for a video about that system in the future. It was so hot last week, and with the heat index I saw, ooh, yeah. I have dark curtains and AC on, so I live in the dark cave after 10 a.m. Yeah, hope you feel better, Eric. Oh, thank you, Kim. Kiddie pools are awesome for cooling off. Keep your feet in, and yes, the hose. My kids used to put their swimsuits on and play in the bathtub on the unbearable days. I was always too big to play around in the bathtub, so I never did do that. You can come join in the pool and sit. And I'll probably touch the bottom, so yeah. Interestingly, because of that, because of my height, I never really did learn how to swim because I never had to swim in a pool. I could always touch the bottom anyway. Go figure that one. It's only 80 here and I am melting. Oh, Terry. Yeah, melting. I know the feeling. It's 54 in Monterey. I guess I shall be moving there. Or you have an extra bedroom, Carol? I can't use that style blade handle. Just don't ask. I need the one with the trigger handle. Just bought one. Another OFA. Okay. Yeah, I know some people don't like this style. Personally, I don't care for this style either, but I just use it because it's convenient and it's right here. And I got a ton of these too, by the way. But I am looking to buy another Martelli cutter that has a 45 millimeter blade. I used to have one, but I've been moving around and packing up so much that I forgot where I put it. So Eric has to bathe in a hot tub. No, I bathe in the ocean or at the beach. Oh, thunder and lightning. Well, take care, Gisela. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so, well, that is the block for this week. This is, what number is this? This is number 47. Yeah, I'm losing track. And we are coming up to the end of the series. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. 5 more blocks to go. Only 5. Can you believe it? Okay, so with that in mind, just want to say thank you to everyone for joining. And can't wait to see what blocks you guys make. And so next week we'll be back on schedule, hopefully. And I'll have the video up for you by Sunday morning. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks for stopping by again. And I'll see you next time. And until then, you know what I'm about to say. Go out and create something. Bye-bye.